What's poppin', players? Welcome back to the Two Penny Game Club, your monthly video game book club in which me, your host, Tavin Bothel, sits down with his good friends and co-hosts. Say hello to the people, Connor Elliott.
Hello, how are you guys doing today with the Game Club, the monthly
very nice,
Game
very
Club.
nice. And say hello, Phil Shoemaker.
Hey, what's up, guys? Connor definitely almost called this the piggy bank.
Ladies and gentlemen,
What? What?
The Game Club is your monthly video game book club in which me and these two lovely lads right here, we in the background play a video game and then at the beginning of every month review that video game for your enjoyment. We reach into the annals of history, pull a game out selected upon by the majestic wheel, and play it and rank it amongst the other games that we've played on the Game Club. This month is Tomb Raider 2013, the reboot from Crystal Dynamics. Some quick facts about Tomb Raider. It was initially released March 5th, 2013. It currently has a Metacritic of 86, and reportedly, Tomb Raider sold 3.4 million copies in 4 weeks, and publisher Square Enix has revealed it did not hit the game's sale target. So, it was one of those lovely Square Enix games that sold a bunch but failed to meet expectations, and everybody goes, well, then what was your expectations? Because 3.4 million in 4 weeks is fucking great. Those are great sales figures. What is going on here?
They never meet any of their expectations with any of their games.
Dude, this is when Square Enix was at its worst, with things failing to meet expectations, where it was like, hey, this is a great game, but it failed. How? Around this time, Sleeping Dogs was also released and sold about 1.75 million. Hitman Absolution, which was not a great Hitman game, not fantastic, sold 3.6 million.
Give us the Sleeping Dogs sequel.
I'm saying, or they already did a PS4 remaster, didn't they? Yeah, probably not worth doing a PS5 remaster for that one. But yeah,
Probably
Sleeping Dogs was a lot of fun. Can we just take a break and just talk about how fun Sleeping Dogs was? Good combat, fun mini games.
Is that
and
on?
stuff going
Is that on the Game Club?
It's not. I don't know why it's not. I haven't played it.
I never beat it. I put probably about 10 hours into it, and I was like, this is good. Driving wasn't very good. Driving kind of sucked. But, the combat was a lot of fun. Gentlemen, we have all played Tomb Raider. And I kind of want to go first on this one. And I want to say, when reviewing Tomb Raider here, I feel like I'm going to come off pretty negative about this game. Let me get in front of that and say, I think this game is good. I think it's got moments of really great fun. But overall, in terms of games we've played for this show, this is the most derivative, soulless, and just bland game that I think we've ever played on the Game Club. I really feel like this game tried to be so many others of its time, so many other contemporaries, namely Uncharted, and really failed to capture what makes any of those games good. It does try to make its own unique identity and so forth through its gameplay mechanics and through its story, which actually is my biggest issue with the game. Its narrative and story wants to be taken seriously, but the quality of writing is not up to par with even games that were released around its time, namely The Last of Us, which released the same year. Now, granted, The Last of Us is an expectation that, we should not put on games like this, but when you want me to believe your story, when you want me to feel for your character, when you want me to explore the emotional grayness of being a survivor and doing what it takes to survive, but and feel for the sanctity of human life as Laura kills her first human being, and then the next moment give me extra experience points. You give me bonus points for headshots. Those two things are at odds with each other, and it really creates a disconnect for me. And it just led me to feel like this story had no weight. I don't think the writing is particularly good. It rushes a lot of its plot points, and I think its character writing specifically is pretty piss poor outside of Lara Croft and her father figure. And then I also feel like the game struggles to balance narrative and gameplay throughout its entire adventure. When Laura, in the beginning of the game, suffers a mortal wound, and then they don't address that wound ever until hours later, like a full in-game day later, when she like trips and falls and they pretend like the wound reopened. She never closed it in the first place. So it just led to a moment of like, hey, you want this to be a survivor story, but you're doing nothing to have the stakes reflect that. So it just led to a very emotionless experience for me. Don't get me wrong, I think the gameplay is pretty serviceable. It holds up fairly well for being a decade old. It definitely suffers from sort of the tropes of the time, and I don't think the game overall holds up super well. And as we get further and further away from it, it's only going to get worse and worse. But overall, like, I do think it is fun to shoot enemies. It is fun to duck into cover and blow things up. But there's just nothing really original about this game, and overall it leads me to believe that this is the most forgetful game we've played yet. Forgettable game we've played yet, I should say. Connor, where are you at with Tomb Raider?
Well, all of the points you made are fair, and I would say right. I'm pretty much agreeing with you that it's a fine game. It has combat that is serviceable. It suffers from the curse of being way, way too easy, so every single combat encounter just felt like it didn't even push me at all. The times that I would die the most are during the cinematic moments, where if you just do something slightly wrong, you die. It was never annoying, it was never a problem, but when that's the hardest parts of your game, I don't think changing it to hard would have made that much of a difference. And I remember playing this game a lot back in the day, because it was one of the first games that came out for the PS4, and I played it on hard mode, and I remember beating it pretty easily then.
To be fair,
and I was younger.
It launched on PS3 and Xbox 360. You played a remastered version that launched in 2014.
Oh, yeah. Well, time slips me by. I can't remember when games came out in 2021, so how am I going to remember that kind of stuff? But, I played a lot of it at the time, and going back to it now, it truly doesn't hold up the same way. The cinematic moments feel very in its time, lots of slow-mo, lots of just sliding down. Like, I think there's 3 different segments where you're sliding down some kind of hill, and you have to shoot barricades that pop up with your shotgun. All of it is incredibly easy. Like I said, only mistime movements would cause my death, and I just have to start over. Big deal. I do like the world building that you were able to take part in with the collectibles, whether it be the documents, the Japanese style artifacts, sometimes Chinese and Korean ones that just give you a little bit of history on them, really sell who Lara Croft is. She's a historian who's trying to become a survivor. But as you said, Tavin, its survivor story is at odds with the power fantasy that it's got going on. One moment wants you to be like an action hero, like from like characters from Die Hard or Commando or anything like that, and then tell this gritty story, and it just never, those elements are never really explored all that well. A lot of characters that end up dying throughout this story, it gives you small moments with them, so you're never able to get attached to them. Even if there are bits of personality that you can't attach to yourself with these characters, it goes away so quickly that it has no real effect on you. And it does kind of leave me in the same way that I can't remember what other game we played on the cast that was gave me the same feeling of looking forward to what's coming next, especially knowing that the second game apparently improves on a lot of the elements that this first one laid the groundwork for.
Probably Uncharted.
Yeah, which it feels a lot like, even though it came out after Uncharted 2, and definitely Uncharted 3 was out by this point.
The whole trilogy is out.
Yeah, the whole trilogy was out, yeah. Mm-hmm. It seems like it looked what the first Uncharted game did and tried to make its own game based off that. And by the point it came out, it had already been surpassed by its contemporaries, being the other Uncharted games. So it just feels like it's kind of just fine across the board. The story's not bad. I'm not like wanting to shoot myself in the head because it's so cringy or awkward. It's just, it's like when you watch an average movie in the theater that you forget in the next couple days. It's not bad when you're doing it, but after you leave and think about it for a while, you find out that you don't really think about it all that much. It's just another game to check off mentally in your list of, I played that game, which unfortunately isn't what most games should ascribe to being. But, for a game that was first in its series and one that came out, kind of when games could really be a lot more hit or miss compared to how they are nowadays. It was a serviceable game through and through enough.
Phil, you're the only person I've not talked to about Tomb Raider with. How are you feeling about it?
Well, I mean, you guys live together, so yeah. I imagine you guys kind of chit chat about that kind of stuff. I kind of want to open my little review here with a hot take. We recently, well, not recently, but we've played the first Uncharted game in the series, and that was so this was the second time me playing through this game, and it was also the second time me playing through Uncharted, and this game's more fun than the first Uncharted game.
Sure, in moments.
Yeah. That's my hot take. That this game's more fun.
Not a hot take, Phil. Not a hot take
Is
at
it
all.
not?
No.
Okay.
It's a take.
I thought I would get some pushback from that.
I think you're wrong, but it's not a hot take.
I don't know if it's just the amount of time that I guess hadn't passed by. So like I was too familiar with the first Uncharted game when we replayed it, as opposed to how this game was. So there's some stuff I didn't really remember until I like got back to it. But I mean, I don't know. There's just something about this game that felt more fun to me. I enjoy, as simple as they are, I enjoy a lot of like the environmental puzzles that they have in the optional tombs. I enjoy a lot of the physics that are in that. Well, some of it is frustrating, especially like there's like one where like you open a wall of like wind that pushes something.
Oh yeah, that one
through.
was annoying.
That one, as frustrating as it is, I did understand where I was going wrong, and I enjoyed that puzzle overall. I can't remember how many there are, but I want to say I did like 4 or 5 of them, and I still breezed through this game. I was telling the guys before we started recording that I finished this in one day, not in one sitting, but altogether I want to say it was no longer than like 9 hours me playing through this whole game. But yeah, it's like y'all have been saying, it's serviceable. It's fine as a game. I recognize that while Uncharted might be a better game overall, I just, like I said, I think this is more fun. I enjoyed the satisfaction that was given. I had the most fun just using the bow than any other weapon in this game. I just thought it was really satisfying going through and getting those headshots. The pistol just feels so. It doesn't feel like the gun combat in this game doesn't feel like weighty. It doesn't feel like like it feels like it should be heavier. You know, as like weird of a thing to say that is. I just feel like it's so. It's like I'm hitting them with like a shotgun filled with feathers. And like that's what's popping out and piercing them is like a bunch of feathers. But no, that I think for that reason, it kind of the bow worked for me the most because it felt the most accurate. Not like accurate in terms of like precision. I just mean like in terms of like, yeah, this is me pulling a bow and loosing it. This is about how it should feel.
The game feels
at least to me
right on that one.
Yeah, for the bow and arrow. And you know that's not what you think of when you think, at least the classic Tomb Raider with the double pistols and all that. But I guess that's more of a thing for this new generation of Tomb Raider. And I am there's part of me that's excited for when we get to the later games. Because I don't think I ever played the third one, Shadow of the Tomb Raider. That's the third one. I did not play that one. I got Rise of the Tomb Raider, I think, like around the first week it came out, and I like that one a lot. I made the. I'm not much of a. So when Shadow of the Tomb Raider came out, I think I recognize it as a mistake now, but I made the mistake of buying Fallout 4 instead of that game, even though I've never really touched a Fallout game before then.
You've got those backwards. Fallout 4 came out same week as Rise, is the second one.
Did it?
Yeah. That's why, it's why, because Shadow of the Tomb Raider is not made by Crystal Dynamics. They're made by Eidos Montreal, because Crystal got moved on to Avengers.
Wow! Oh my gosh! That fucked with my head right there.
Yeah.
Holy shit!
Because I think it was like a thing where like Square recognized that Crystal had a lot of talent. But they just weren't seeing the success with this series that they wanted to see, whatever that meant. Like this first game was successful. And then, Rise of the Tomb Raider. I didn't play it till a year later, when it came to PS4.
When did Shadow of the Tomb Raider come out?
2018? No, before then. 2020, because Uncharted
2018. 4, oh my god.
Oh wow, was it really 18? Okay, wow.
Why can't this be the mini game?
The one time Connor got it.
I know.
That's nuts. Like that literally just breaks my brain right there.
Yeah.
That's insane. Oh my god! All right, never mind. Fuck everything that I just said about like between Fallout 4 and it must have been Rise then. But no, I remember liking Rise a lot more than Fallout because I'm not much of a Fallout guy.
Yeah.
But anyway, talking about Tomb Raider here, I did think that the story was serviceable enough. I liked some of the characters we had, even though a lot of the characters we kind of talked to weren't really around that much. It was very much just focused on Lara and her journey and trying to reunite with them. And like, sure, we'll talk to them on the radio and stuff, and we'll talk to Roth and all that. But like our other crew that we kind of meet and help out or whatever, there was some like weird conflict between Lara and I think her name was like Reyes or something.
Yeah.
And it's like, it feels so forced. Like, it's like, why are you so mad at Lara? Like, she's just as fucked up in this position as you are. Like, what are you mad that she didn't rescue you sooner? Like, I don't fucking know. Like, I don't know.
It's like everybody gets their scene. They get their singular scene, and that's it. Yeah. Alex dies, and you're like, that was awkward. That was very strange. So, okay.
You know, to your point, Phil, it tried to do this thing where since she got them to the island, it's her fault.
Okay.
But it's so unreasonable on every single level that it never really makes sense. Not only when Lara's beating herself up about it, but when Reyes is as well. It's just like, well, none of you guys were all trying to find the island.
Yeah, you guys all agreed to this expedition. It's not just Lara's fault. Like, I liked the chef guy. I thought he was fun. I liked him as just Jonah. That's his name.
I just think the story suffers so much from like wanting to reflect emotion through just giving a line of dialogue as opposed to like actually have actions matter in this game. And again, I think it's because of your disconnect between gameplay and narrative. Like the two have nothing to do with each other. They're just so like separated. Phil, you did say the puzzles. I think the puzzles in this game are actually pretty good. There are moments where I was, you got to sit there and think. Did you guys find the tomb where it's like the little light that is in the water and electrifying the water?
Yeah.
And you got to lift it. That's a great puzzle. That's a really good puzzle.
It's
like
good.
I really enjoyed that.
That one might be my favorite optional tomb.
It's certainly up there for me. I didn't do them all, but I did them as I found them. Very often I would just like trip and fall my way into them, thinking it was the critical path, and then I'd be like, oh, this is just a tomb. Oh, oops.
I did that with one of them for sure. The other ones I was like full on, oh yeah, let me go do this real quick.
Yeah.
Can we talk about how weak this antagonist was too?
Dude, like, what the fuck, man?
I feel like when we were introduced to Matthias, he's just like, oh, I'm this hermit that lives on this island by myself, and you're talking.
And they give it no room to breathe.
Right?
You immediately don't trust him. You're like, you're a bad guy. Like,
but even then, like, Lara passes out, and then you wake up and they're gone.
Yeah,
and it's like, okay, let me go try to find them. But it's not even like, okay, so I guess he's just now fully bad. Like, I wasn't even like, I remembered him being the bad guy. So I'm wondering if maybe the first time I also thought he was the bad guy immediately. I don't know.
I mean, I couldn't tell you. It's just that the character writing is, I think, very weak in this game.
It just felt so abrupt.
Matthias is the worst villain ever, man. This dude's, I don't even know what his goal was. Like, he wanted to reawaken the sun god for what? Why?
See, that was the weird thing, because it was to get off the island, because you would do her a service, and then she would allow him to leave. But it doesn't make sense when it's like, well, you're there. You could have gotten and destroyed it. You didn't need to go through this whole shebang, which I guess the whole background is that he's crazy. So his actions don't really make sense. Yeah, that was his whole thing. He's like, I'm a survivor. I'm going to get off this island for damn forever.
I feel like my interpretation was for a while he wanted to get off, but eventually he just bought into his own craziness, and now he just wants to like run this sun god cult or something. Like,
that's what's so weird to me is I don't understand his goal.
Yeah.
Okay. So
other than resurrecting this empress or whatever.
Also, it felt pretty clear that the goddess is just going to kill him as soon as she's revived.
So did you guys read the documents relating to him?
Not really.
I did that. That's why I do credit the world building of this game, because his actions make a lot more sense, because he was clearly just he was crazy, but he was a meticulous guy who was using everybody just to get off the island. It was clear that he brought up all this stuff of revering her and whatnot because he could use that to get them to do what he wants, to treat her as an actual goddess, while he's just trying to get off the island. That was his entire, like, behind the scenes. That's what his his plan was. He's a manipulator. He's a survivor, as he would put it. But I agree. It's not done well in the moments where you actually interact with him or see what he's doing. So it's kind of hard to put a lot of your bets on pick up collectibles that are scattered throughout the world to make your character somewhat interesting.
Yeah.
So
the one
that needs to be like in the story itself.
Sure. That should not be like an optional thing. One thing that I'll praise about, like, I mean, as weak as the character writing is in this game, I really enjoyed the whenever you'd find a new campfire to rest at, Lara would like write in her journal about it. I really enjoyed that part of it. I thought that was really, really cool, and kind of her not necessarily giving you like a recap, but it's just like her like writing down her thoughts in that moment,
finding where she is and how she feels. And yeah. I think Laura's character writing is the strongest thing in this game, and it's why, like, I mean, outside of her, she's the only one I'm interested to see in a sequel. Everyone else we can get rid of.
Yeah.
I believe it's Jonah sticks around for the sequel. I don't know about the third game, but he definitely sticks around for the sequel. But it's definitely like he's just there, and then we go on an adventure, and then we see him maybe again at the end or something like that. But like, I do not care for any of these characters. Like all of them die, and I feel nothing. Like
I think all of them except for Jonah and Reyes die. Or does Sam live too?
Sam lives as well.
Sam lives?
Sam makes it. Yeah.
Okay. But yeah,
again, like a character kind of interesting, totally dropped in the next game. Nobody cares about. Like, yeah.
But my thing is Sam interesting? Is she?
I mean, purely in that she just has the most screen time out of Laura's companions. Like, you know, other than Roth. Like,
we should have had more Grimm.
Nah.
I would have liked more Roth. I would have liked more Roth, just like him and Lara. I mean, sure, I get that, like, his death is kind of it allows Lara to kind of become the adventurer and like the new badass, you know, because like she takes everything that he teaches her, and becomes like the Tomb Raider that we remember from like the past games, or she's this badass. What's the anthropologist turned adventurer?
Whitman.
Whitman.
Professor Whitman.
No, Connor, you're on something else. I don't know what you're on, but you're on something else.
The archaeologist? The anthropologist?
No, Phil was still
talking
talking
about Lara.
Yeah,
I'm talking about Lara and Roth. I'm not talking about the bullshit TV host guy.
Hey, he was a doctor, dude.
That guy sucked.
Everybody sucks. There's no good character in this game. Everybody's trash. Oh my god. And while, like, I mean, I agree. This game is more fun to play than games like Uncharted, at least Uncharted 1.
Drake's Fortune, yeah.
But it's just like an overall package. Like, there's no clear vision for this game, and like, I don't like the level design. I think is awful. I think like its combat scenarios are generic and copy and paste as fuck. I can't tell you the number of times I was just standing by a ladder shooting dudes off of it, or waiting for guys to come off their or shooting dudes off their zip lines. Like, the AI is super like manipulated, manipulatable,
manipulative.
No, because that means they're manipulating.
I
like it's just really easy to manipulate the enemy AI, and it led to so many moments where I'm literally just shooting down a hallway. There was a moment in the B-roll earlier where like I literally just put myself in a corner and then just like held down and squeezed and fire, and they all lined up single fire, and that happened all the time in this game. Like, sure, it is more fun to run and jump and blow things up as opposed to the first Uncharted, but just as an overall package, there's just no vision here, and like, I think it's just inferior to Uncharted in so many other ways that its fun gameplay doesn't carry it.
Where the fuck did all these explosive barrels come from,
bro?
Dude? Like,
everywhere. It's like 6, 7 in every single combat encounter. Like, they don't feel like treats. Like, and that's another thing. Yeah. Nothing matters in this game. Absolutely nothing matters. They want you to believe that like the toll of taking human life means something to Laura, and obviously it's supposed to get easier as you go along. But like,
sure,
it's not like, oh, we're fighting 1 or 2 or 3 guys at first, and then by the end of the game, then you're fighting 20 armored dudes. You're fighting 20 dudes and killing 20 dudes within the first hour, and it's like, Laura was a survivor from the minute she landed on the island. There's no arc here. They want you to think there's an arc, but there isn't one.
It reminds me of like You know, that was a lot of people's problem with Drake, in that he's meant to just be this like normal dude, but he's fucking taken out entire armies and shit. Like,
yeah, yes, but yeah, that works for me because Uncharted keeps it campy. And they don't even bring up the idea, except for that weird moment in Uncharted 2, at the end of Uncharted 2. They don't even bring up the fact that Drake is killing people. Like they
no, yeah, I'm not saying that this is better in any way. I'm saying it's like cranked up to 11.
Yeah, right. Yeah, my point is like it's noticeable here because they point at it and say, "Wow, look what she has to do." But
Can you believe you have to take other human lives?
Yeah, like if Laura was a Nathan Drake type, or you know how she was in her original games, who was super charismatic and gung ho and was a fun adventurer, then that would be a better fit for this gameplay than what they're doing here. And guess what? The next game, she's a little more confident in her abilities and a little more fun to play as. But yeah, here it's just totally. It's like, oh man, Laura, stop crying.
Bro, your camera does not like you today.
It's not coming through at all. It's struggling. There we go.
I'll say, Tavin, you brought up how bad the level design is in this game, and how we kind of touched on how let's just say you shouldn't be accidentally stumbling into optional places whenever you're trying to go through the regular story.
I shouldn't think it's the main path.
Yeah. It should be way more clear. I don't care if you have to do the Resident Evil thing and mark things as yellow or whatever to say like you have to do all this, but you should make it a lot easier to tell where you're supposed to go, what you're supposed to do, exactly what the main story path is.
Like even like navigating the more linear parts of the level, it's just never like you never feel like you're 100% clear that you're going the right way. Like it like from a design perspective, I shouldn't be questioning if I'm going the right way. And then when we're in the more open areas, total mess. Like it's just like, I don't know, man, this way, I guess. Like no wonder they had to like put like a big glowing marker in the sky to be like, hey, go here, stupid. Also, the map sucks. The map doesn't give you any of the information you need.
Map is not good.
Cluttered.
One thing on par with like God of War 2018. Like map.
Oh yeah, 100%.
One thing I will say about the level design, because overall it's not good. They make it better than some games out there by having some not rogue-like elements, but you get certain ways to traverse, and if you go back to previous areas, you can get more unlockables.
The Metroidvania type.
Yeah, Metroidvania type. It doesn't do it enough though to really save the whole package, which I think they would have benefited from doing that more. There's really just one section in the game where there's like a bunch of different stuff you can do, and then past that, it goes back to being more linear. It feels like it would have been a lot more focused, though, if it did less of the whole, allow you to fast travel to wherever, because like you said, the map doesn't justify you going in and, exploring it to the nooks and crannies, aside from those collectibles, which I think do a good job. The actual areas themselves are just pretty straightforward and bland until they're, a little bit confusing. And you have to, try and navigate the direct path that you have to go to continue the story. It's like a lot of things in this game where it's just not fully realized at all.
Yeah.
In terms of getting some of those optional upgrades, not optional. In terms of getting those upgrades, are any of them like actually optional, or are they all just like part of the story beats?
Which upgrades? Not one's related to the guns, right?
Like you're talking about things like traversal related, or yeah, they
were all.
You have to get them all.
Okay. So there was one, I think early on, that would just kind of rub me the wrong way, because it's like, oh, I just got this to do this, to like get up this cliff, but there's also a way I could have done it without that, like literally right next to it. Like there's the vines that Lara can climb, but there's a place where you can use the pickaxe and break into the wall. But I could have climbed this cliff without the pickaxe anyway. But it's not like,
I mean,
I don't know.
Usually there's like a way up that takes longer, and then they'll give you an upgrade to get up faster. I don't know the part you're talking about.
I can't remember exactly. It was like one of the first like open areas with all like the huts and stuff.
Yeah,
I know. Okay, I think I know what area you're talking about, but I don't remember any of
it. It just kind of rubbed me the wrong way. It felt very like, okay, why did you give me this thing here and not like right when I needed it? Really,
I guess. Yeah. I just don't know the part you're talking about. This to me is a game that like clearly the team is talented. Clearly they have a masterpiece in them, but they don't have a director that can like unify the vision and put it all together. And I think that's what we're really missing is just like a clear, full vision. And it's a lot of like, well, the gameplay team's really good at this, and then the cinematic team is good at this, and then, you know, the set piece team is good at this, and we're just going to kind of duct tape it all together to see how it works as a full package. And then you get to the end of it and you go, all right, that was a fun joyride, but I feel nothing. Like I'm going to forget about this within a week. I already know, which is, not something I like feeling about video games. Gentlemen, is there anything else we want to address before we go ahead and rank this bad boy?
I'm good.
I guess
I've said my piece.
I guess one thing going into the ranking itself, I misunderstood you earlier, Phil. I thought you said the hot take was that this is not as good as the first Uncharted. Not that it was better.
No, I mean I think as a game, like entirely, I think that the original Uncharted's like a higher quality overall game, but this is more fun.
Ah, I see. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, never mind. I agree with that.
Leading us right into our conversation about rankings and so forth. So, ladies and gentlemen, as you may know, as we play these games month to month, we do rank them amongst each other. The full list is on screen now. We have number 17, Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze. Number 16, Prey. Number 15, Batman Arkham Asylum. Number 14, Uncharted 1, Drake's Fortune. Number 13, Halo Combat Evolved. Number 12, Shadow of the Colossus. Number 11, Resident Evil 4. Number 10, Portal. Number 9, Resident Evil. Number 8, Chrono Trigger. Number 7, Dishonored. Number 6, Shovel Knight. Number 5, Portal 2. Number 4, Yakuza 0. Number 3, Hades. Number 2, The Last of Us. And number 1, God of War Ragnarok. Phil, I'm going to jump to you first. Me and Connor had a long conversation about this the other night, but he was hot. He had all his friends over, so he was hot off of we'll say some influencers. I'm curious to see where you're lying with this one here.
So for me personally, I think I'm gonna go ahead and just say I think we this is the new bottom.
Whoa!
Below DK. Purely just because I would be totally fine like never touching this game again in my life. Whereas I could see myself like on a plane or in a car ride loading up DK Tropical Freeze and like playing a few levels or whatever. But this game I would if it left my life forever, I would not care.
That's insane. All right, Connor, where are you now that we're looking at the list and we've had our conversation? Where are you with this?
Despite all of that, conversations and whatnot, it is in the same spot that I felt it should be in the first 3 hours that I played the game, and that is right below Uncharted, in slightly above. Well, no, substantially above Arkham Asylum. Fuck that game. But I just think it. No, I'm sorry. Above Uncharted 1. Just below Halo. I think there's a pretty significant gap in between Halo and Tomb Raider, but I think it's small with Uncharted 1 and Tomb Raider. I just remember Uncharted 1's gameplay being a pain in the ass to get through, despite the charm that the game has with its main cast. Ultimately, when most of your game is going to be going through boring levels as well and just inferior gameplay, I don't see it being above. I don't see it being below Uncharted 1. So the new number 14 would be my suggestion.
And I'm landing in between you two gentlemen. Though I personally think Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze is a better game, I don't. I would rather replay this and have more fun with this than I did with Prey. So much so that I would put it above Prey, but below Batman Arkham Asylum at the new number 16. The thing about it is like, yeah, this game is more fun than Uncharted. It's more fun than Batman Arkham Asylum, but it doesn't have the vision that those two games have. And it doesn't, it just, so many of its own elements feel like they're at war with each other, to the point to where it leads to a very disjointed experience and a very not boring, but a very forgettable experience. Whereas I left Batman and I was like, yeah, that was a little boring, but that left more of an impact on me. And Uncharted 1 had the vision. It's just mechanically they weren't quite there yet. And so like I just think this game is inferior to Uncharted 1. And I think it's about on par with Arkham Asylum. It's just that Arkham's overall vision and cohesion between all of its elements brings it up a level for me. Prey frustrated me and annoyed the shit out of me, even though like I do think like the world design and the atmosphere of that game is phenomenal and it still looks great. That was one thing we didn't talk about. Tomb Raider I don't think looks very good. It's very muddy. Quite literally with the mud, but like also like the textures just kind of like blend together and it's just not a very pretty game when looking at it in today's standards, which is unfortunate. So yeah, I land at the new number 16 above Prey, below Arkham Asylum. Does any that would put the votes where I have it currently at the new number 16. Does anybody want to make an argument to try and sway for it going above or below anything else?
Yeah, my argument.
Sorry, I just want to be clear. You're saying this is the new number 16?
That's where it lands if nobody changes their votes.
I'm not mad at that.
Connor.
So that's fine with me.
I'm not mad at it. It is objectively better than Arkham Asylum, and I would. Here's the thing.
He says, using his opinion, says objective.
Yes, right. Well, they're the same thing, though. But you see, the problem is that you guys mentioned it yourself. Tomb Raider is more fun. We could say, the Arkham Asylum has better vision, Prey has better vision, but when you actually start playing them, those things go out the window very, very quickly, and you're going to be a lot more, on the level of, I want to stop playing this game, get me off of it.
I did not agree that this was more fun than Arkham Asylum. I said it was more fun than the original Uncharted.
Well, then that defends my position of putting it above Uncharted, because it just is, it's just, at least there's fun to be had. Is it super memorable fun? No, but fun's fun. It's better than just on a technical level being better.
My thing is, Connor, is but like by that description, like you're arguing like a Fast X versus like a Captain America Civil War, where like sure you might be bored by Captain America at points, but in comparison to Fast X, but like Civil War is a way better constructed movie and works on its own more. Whereas like here, with this direct comparison, I can see the duct tape. Every game is kind of duct taped together, but I can see the duct tape with Tomb Raider. Whereas Arkham Asylum, it feels like a seamless experience.
I can see the duct tape wrapped around the stock on the little AK-47 that she had.
Be that as it may, and just a quick side note, Civil War is not only, of course, a better made film than Fast X, it's also 10 times more fun. Fast X is very forgettable and bland.
I agree. I'm just trying to pull something here.
Okay, fair enough. But yeah, I still think, like I said, that I think I stand with my original point of, sure, it's duct taped together, but fun is what carries you through games that take hours and hours to beat. And I think when people look at games as, if we're trying to rank games, video games being a source of entertainment, fun should trump over, just technical aspects of it better, like world design or level design, which aren't even that great enough to carry the rest of the game forward, in regards to talking about things like Prey and Arkham Asylum.
To kind of counter that, I'm thinking back on my experience with Arkham Asylum, and my biggest issue with that is that it was such a tight experience, such a close-knit experience. All the levels were really small, and so you couldn't flood them with a lot of enemies. Like you had to keep it kind of small, whereas like Tomb Raider has these bigger enemies that flood them in. But if you were to put in arena mode in Tomb Raider and then take the combat challenges in Batman Arkham Asylum, I think I have more fun with those combat challenges in Arkham Asylum, which, Connor, I know you didn't play them, but they're there. They're like, that's where like they start like throwing different waves of goons at you, and they start throwing different enemy types at you in combinations that you don't get in the main game. That's more fun to me than just sitting in an arena in Tomb Raider, which is just spray and pray and squeeze and cheese everybody until they fall down. Like your tactics for every individual enemy in Tomb Raider are exactly the same as every other enemy type, with the exception of the one shield guy that you have to dodge and then put an arrow in his knee.
There's this flow state that you achieve with like Arkham Asylum and the Batman Arkham series, like with the combat. There's no flow state in Tomb Raider.
I agree.
Where like you're just firing arrows, shooting your shotgun, using your pistol, whatever, shooting them in the knee, the shield guy. Whereas you're dodging people, you're countering, you're knocking people out, you're using your cape to stun them in Arkham. There's a certain thing where you see this type of enemy, you have to do this. And it's just that flow that you get into. I'm going to punch this guy, then I'm going to jump over this guy, where you just it's so much more satisfying.
But both those are extremely valid points. First of all, to yours, Tavin, while that is true, if that involves kind of a rearranging of what these games are at their face value, because Tomb Raider doesn't have an arena mode, and even though there's an arena mode in Batman, that's a single small mode compared to a whole story, which is where you're going to spend most of your time during your experiences with Batman Arkham Asylum. And I think we're kind of forgetting that the enemy variety in Arkham Asylum sucked ass too. And combat flows a lot smoother. At least with,
it's better than what's here. Like, at least in Asylum, you got stun dudes, you got guys with guns, you got guys with shields, and each of those means something. You have those same things in Tomb Raider, but they mean nothing.
That's true, but then, like, think about how you deal with them. Is it extremely fun to deal with them? I mean, with Tomb Raider, you can get through combat encounters very, very quickly. Batman, you would have slow bits happening between them. You would have to press dodge over and over and over again, which would just extend out the fighting these boring enemies.
The thing that separates it from me is that you have the combination of, hey, this guy you can't just directly punch or just directly do this other thing, but while this other guy... Well, it might be the move you're going to use that's a weakness for this guy that's coming at you this way. It's going to be the exact opposite for the guy coming at you this way. So you have to rethink on the fly to like who you're tackling first and what you're taking care of. In Tomb Raider, you're literally just mowing people down, shooting arrows, switching to your pistol, and you don't even have to do any of that. You can just use one weapon until you run out of ammo.
I'm right there with Phil. At least Arkham Asylum makes you think and like engages you in that way. It forces you to change tactics. It forces you to try something new. And I think all of those things are like the same level of fun, as opposed to Tomb Raider. It's like just shoot everything, and it just becomes mindless mowing down. It may as well be like a horde mode. Like you're playing World War Z at that point, you know?
Once again, I can agree with that. But ultimately, and I kind of see at this point, I'm not going to be able to sway either you from the rankings from where we currently are. But one last bit that I have to fight, because we're talking about Batman, and I'm only going to shit on that game as much as possible and give it as little marks as possible because I hate it. I think that while it does throw different things at you, I do, yes, kill people, kill people, throw them in sarin gas, do something to them. I don't care, kill them. But aside from that, I feel like it's very monotonous, the gameplay of Arkham Asylum, compared to this, where at least you're doing different things. Versus Arkham Asylum, you basically go with those kinds of games, go on autopilot. Okay, this guy's gonna go. I press a button to easily dodge out of this guy's way. Or I press triangle to counter him when the little mark appears above his head. You know, it's a lot more like mechanical gameplay, robotic gameplay, as opposed to this one, where really the issue comes in with the enemy AI, as opposed to the actual combat systems, which, you know, once again, comparing it to Arkham Asylum, they don't even have good AIs either. You know, we're not really comparing, you know, vastly different quality of games here, but overall, I think just the flow of combat in Arkham Asylum just made me annoyed rather than entertained me, which this game at least was able to do that on some level.
And now we're just faced with the subjectivity of our views, because you said the exact opposite thing that me and Phil literally just said. Like you're like,
if anything, me and Tavin are saying that the Tomb Raider combat is strictly mindless waves of enemies that you're just mowing down.
Yeah.
Whereas you have to think in the combat with Arkham Asylum, and that's like Tavin said, it's the exact opposite of what you said.
Phil,
like I said, I've given up on trying to convince you guys.
Yeah. Phil, talk to me on how you put Prey above this game. That's what I want to know.
So I put Prey above this game for the same reason I put it above DK Tropical Freeze, in that I enjoyed going through, like, I enjoyed the kind of environment that I had, the environment that they gave us here. I enjoyed the scares that were there, as although I fucking hate scary games, but I really enjoyed like being able to play in a way that allowed me to bypass those scares and like be like, hey, fuck you, I'm gonna kill you anyway. Oh, you scared me? I'm shooting your fucking head off and disintegrating your whatever mind-powered form that you are. Whereas, I mean, DK is just straightforward platformer. That, I mean, sure, it's good and it's beautiful and the music is great and you can get in that rhythm of like just speeding through a level. But with Prey, I enjoyed the getting this key for this door that I kind of go back and backtrack to this other area that's now full of other enemies that I can kill and loot and upgrade myself. And I just enjoyed the kind of progression that I got with Prey in terms of like kind of making myself stronger and doing all these new, like finding these new creative solutions to puzzles, and not necessarily puzzles, but like
the combat encounters are puzzles inherently.
Yes. Yes. That's what kind of where I'm getting at.
Yeah. All right. I feel that. I was just frustrated I was frustrated by Prey's design, but I understand that perspective. So, I guess that kind of locks us all in on where we initially stated, making Tomb Raider the new number 16, above Prey but below Batman Arkham Asylum. I'm not going to read them all off because it just takes too long now.
Yeah, I'm not mad at that. I think that's good.
Follow us on Twitter to see the new updated results. 2 Penny Games, at 2 Penny Games, spelt with the number 2. It's in the description. Look at the description. All of our links. Follow us all. Anyway,
that was our longest discussion of a placement, I think, for this game.
I think so. I think that's
all the ones we've done.
We've had some long ones before. I remember fighting I fought real hard for Shovel Knight last episode, and then I remember fighting really hard for Resident Evil. But yeah, it was one of the longer ones. I think it was a more like a more nuanced discussion as well, which was nice. Moving on, ladies and gentlemen, as you may know if you've been following this show along, we allow we put a bunch of games into a list, and we let a spinner wheel pick whatever we play for the next month. So for the game that we are playing through the month of December and reviewing at the beginning of the next year, we are allowing the wheel to select. Now, when we let the wheel roll, we do veto games out. We each pick one game to cancel out and take out of the wheel. However, that game cannot be taken out for the following month. Those 3 games last month were Axiom Verge, Spider-Man 2018, and Castlevania Symphony of the Night. So all of those games have to be in the listing this month. And now we have the opportunity, if we so choose, to take something out. Gentlemen, December's a pretty light month. There's nothing really on my radar outside of games that I already want to play. So I don't know if there's anything in here that I actually really, really, really feel a strong way about taking out this month. And just kind of looking through the list as of right now, I don't know if there's anything I really want to take out this month. Oh, you know what? Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, I'm gonna kind of go Jedi Fallen Order. I'm gonna take that out.
I'm pretty sure, obviously not last month, but I think the month before we took that one out.
Oh, did we?
We could have, but it's fine. We can. It's valid. It's a valid pick. But
yeah.
Connor, are you feeling anywhere here?
Yeah, it wasn't my veto. It wasn't my veto that like did that last time.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I have a light month as well for playing new games, but I do want to finish up a lot of other ones that I have on the docket before we do our game of the year in the future. So I'm gonna go with a good old faithful. Tavin knows what it is already. Death Stranding. Take out those long games.
You bastard. Death Stranding is long.
I'm gonna be honest. I as much as I like clown on it, I wouldn't have even been mad if we rolled Death Stranding.
Here we go.
I was gonna do Persona 4 because of the same reason, but that's a game I did.
Persona 4 is one of the best games ever made. Also,
I want to play
that either.
Also, 3 is in the list, not 4.
3, yes.
Yeah. So we're going ahead. We're spinning the wheel. We're going to discover what's happening. Remember, you get this at the beginning of every new month. Ring off in the comments what games you want us to add to the list that may have been missing. Super Mario 64.
That's very funny.
We're going down a trip, ladies and gentlemen. Connor, you're going to have to play my copy.
Where do you? Oh yeah, Switch.
It's on Switch, but it was one of those things that they put up for a limited time and then took off. So you have to play my copy of the game.
Yeah.
So
I think it was like December,
or you have to play on my Switch essentially.
It was like December 2019
to like March of 2020, I believe.
Yeah,
something
it was
like
strange.
that. something like that. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you take the time to play Super Mario 64 with us. Let us know how you feel about it in the comments of this episode so that maybe I can pull quotes for next month's episode. Let us know what you would like to see us play on the show. And until next time, have a great time. Gentlemen, say goodbye to the people.
Bye. Bye.